Subcommittee on staff training. This is our first meeting, so we are going to kind of organize our plan for the next several meetings. I think we may have had a misunderstanding about today's schedule. I had planned to get a list of all the different trainings and prioritize, and then for the trainings that, for many of the trainings, I think we can get copies of them ahead of time and then review them at the following meeting. And I didn't understand that we were doing that today and that maybe I'm the only one that got a copy of a training. So my apologies for doing that. Is it possible still to get a copy of or a list of other available trainings and we can work on that part of it?
Absolutely. So I think what we have to do, there's been a number of different trainings that have been offered. So maybe, I don't know if you wanted to start, that's why I had sent out the suicide prevention.
I know, I apologize.
But we have, I can send you a long list of trainings. We have trainings that are required by teachers. We have trainers that are compliance. We have trainings that are administrator type trainings. We have trainings that are for professional licensed staff. So we have many different layers of training. So maybe if you told us which kind of section you wanted to focus on, then.
I mean, ultimately, I think we would like to address trainings in all of them. We all represent constituencies that have had, have run into difficulties or challenges. And I think as advocates for those communities, I wish that teacher or that administrator understood X better. And if that were the case, then a situation may have been handled differently. And so I think our purpose in being here, and I'm looking to everybody that I can see, is to try to address that and to make, to see, there are trainings about this and we just need to ask that this school get special focus on it, or there isn't a training that addresses this one point, and bring it to the attention of the training staff that makes the decisions so we can make sure everything's addressed. We're rooting for everything to go well for all students and staff members here.
Okay, perfect. So what I can do is I can compile a large list, okay, and then I'll send it to you, and you guys can prioritize what you'd like to see. But it's entirely up to you. There are some things that I had given a list of some of our trainings to legal that we had created, because I wanted to make sure, because we do have some litigation going on, so I wanted to make sure it was okay, and I haven't heard back from them. So we'll add that to the list when I get approval.
Who in legal is going through it?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I've sent it up to our team, and usually they divvy that out. But
okay. No, I was just curious.
Mr. Oswald's aware of it as well, so I'll
no problem.
Remind him about it.
There are a number of people that are on the internet. Do any of you have any, thoughts or comments on what I've stated so far? No.
Nope, sounds good.
Okay. We're putting.
I really like the idea of that list, and then maybe prioritizing that as well.
I'm going to admit something. I wasn't able to watch the whole meeting last night because I had 2 other meetings. What was the outcome of that as far as bringing in police or sheriff's department officers? Does anyone know?
Kimberly?
I wasn't able to see the whole thing, but Mr. Oswald will be here for the next meeting, and he was present, so he could probably clarify.
I understand that it was approved to add additional.
Okay. I would like to possibly suggest that we start with some of the police trainings, because I think a lot of issues that have affected all of the school population, but especially some of the vulnerable constituencies that we all represent here, making sure that those coming in who have not worked with children before get as much training as possible, and making sure it's covering all the bases of things that we've seen as difficulties in the past.
I believe, Kimberly, also that I put that as a recommendation that all police officers attend the trainings as well.
Agree. So maybe that will give us kind of a starting point as well.
I don't have copies of any of the police trainings because they have a whole set of trainings that they are required to do according to statute. So you would have to go through the police chief to get any of the police trainings. They're separate trainings, and they have a whole long list of requirements that they do have to comply with, and so they have their own set.
So you don't provide additional trainings on things that are, your area of expertise?
They have their trainings, like they do a special de-escalation training. They have like a whole list of things that are required. They are certainly invited. They also do youth mental health first aid training that we offer through our department. They can certainly participate in any of our trainings that are offered district-wide because they're district staff. And so those are published and available in our ELM, our learning management system. And they are welcome to take any of our trainings.
Okay, thank you. Not to put you on the spot, are you able to pull up any of the lists that we could possibly look at together? And if I am putting you on the spot, I sincerely apologize, and we can postpone that.
I gave you a section of the list. Can I email you everything? I have the link here, pretty much everything. It was just a couple of the trainings that I have is going to legal, and the links are here, so I have to wait on that.
That's
but what
fine.
I can do is I can cut and paste because I have more trainings than what was sent to you that I'd be fine sending on. I just didn't want to overwhelm you with a whole bunch of trainings, so I figured, okay, I'll just start with you, the compliance training. But I'll be happy to email to you now, Kimberly, and if you want to put it up, you're welcome to.
Okay.
And you can share with the group.
I did not bring a laptop, so whose is this?
Whose is that?
Staff or?
Yeah,
Okay.
which is running this meeting, so.
Oh, so there's no way to do both.
I can ask the guys if you sign on, is that what you want to do?
I guess so, unless we email it to someone in the staff.
Or maybe Janina could, and then if she signs, because you'll be here for the next meeting, and then if I'll email it to you, and you can, would that work?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
let me do that.
Yeah, you can email it to me.
Okay.
The plan is to be much more organized and hitting everything next few times, but I wanted to kind of speak to the whole group and see if my ideas are consistent with what everyone else wants to do before just imposing it on everyone.
I did have a question.
Sure.
Was anything sent out? Like any training sent out?
They were just sent to me, and I didn't realize they weren't sent to everyone.
Got it. Okay.
So-
So you're saying the plan is make a list of all the trainings. As a group, we'll decide what the priority is.
Right.
And then moving forward, we would get sent the trainings ahead of time so we could review them and then come back with our concerns at the following meeting.
Right. I was planning for us to agree which ones we were going to attack first, and I don't think I could have done that directly through everyone anyway, so that's why I was thinking of doing it here.
Perfect. So I'm going to send it right now, so you should be able to. Only one of them that was offered a specialized training that was offered to staff. It was trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy for our licensed personnel we had to pay for. So the link's there, but we had to pay for all those seats. So we trained about 200 in TFCBT. So
Can I interrupt a minute? Sorry.
Please. Please.
Can I take attendance?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I should have known that.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. I'm going to take a quick roll call here, attendance. So ESC Advisory Committee, Kimberly Spiro.
Present.
FAU card, Robin Jones.
Present.
FAU card, Carrie Whittle.
Present.
Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Maria Antunia.
Present.
And Palm Beach Council of PTAs, Charmaine. And Palm Beach County Human Rights Counsel, Emmy Kenny.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So can we get the list on this computer? Or am I signing in, or is it going to be staff
I just
member?
sent it to Janina,
Okay, thank you.
and then
Oh, I see. You have your laptop there. From now on, I'll do attendance first. Of course. Thank you. If I ever forget that, just wave at me. Okay. We're taking a moment to pull up the list.
while she pulls it up and she can share it and on the screen, do you want me to kind of go through the list? I can verbally go through the list while
That'd be
she's
wonderful.
working on that. Okay. So one of the trainings that we offered district-wise was our 8th annual Student Mental Health and Wellness Conference. So we had a number of different sessions that were offered online, and we did it over a course of different days so that as many people as possible could participate. And I can get those numbers to you. We were close, I think we were over 1,000 that participated this year in that conference. So we had we have a link here that's going to come in the document that I've sent, but there is recordings of the sessions. So part of that was an opening keynote session on student mental health by Brain Smart. There was a session on promoting emotional regulation in children, evidence-based practices, and internet-based resources. There was another session on building a bridge from adversity to resilience. And then we also had using wraparound principles for school-based mental health teams. And there was a whole wraparound training that was provided through a grant from the CDC. Out of another department, school counseling sponsored some of that work on wraparound. So that's like a sample, and we have the conference link I've sent, and so you're welcome to peruse any of those trainings. And we had a number of, like, outside the district. We had district personnel presenting, and then we had invited guests. Another additional training, the training that I had sent, that was sent to Kimberly, was our statewide national trainings from the Jason Foundation. Several of the modules our CAPE team has been trained on, but we also have a mandatory compliance training for everyone in schools, and it was the 2021 Mental Health Issues Surrounding Suicidal Ideation, Module 2. It's a compliance training, and so everyone is required to take that. In addition, there's several other modules, and we're going to use a different module every year because it's going to be a mandatory compliance training that they have at least 2 hours of suicide awareness and prevention training, all school staff. So we don't want to just give them the same training over and over again. Jason Foundation has several modules, so we've included that as well. The CAPE team has viewed all the modules, and our core mental health staff, but not all the teachers have seen all the modules. They're just required to do that module 2 the first 2 hours. So all school staff. So that's included as well. So module 2 is there, module 5, and there's also a module entitled Suicide Postvention, the Critical Role of Educators. In addition, our CAPE team had taken the 3-part training on Florida Board Certification, Introduction to Baker Acts, 3 parts, part 1, 2, and 3. So you also have the link to that. And then our specialized training, we had Skills for Psychological Recovery online from the National Child Traumatic Stress Network, and that's free. And so all of our mental health staff took that training. And then there's a link to the TFCBT that I spoke about. So that link is there as well.
And please correct me if I'm wrong, but if I receive a link, I'm not allowed to send it out to the other members because of sunshine laws. I'm not allowed to communicate with anyone here about anything that the committee does without public. So I think in the future, I'm going to ask that it be sent to a staff member who has access to all of our addresses.
Okay.
I know you have other responsibilities as well, but there's usually someone that will do that because, and that's why I assumed everybody had gotten everything because I can't send it out. But from now on, we'll have staff send it out to us, and we'll make decisions today as to what we're going to tackle right away. And we could just start with the initial one that was mentioned.
If you send those to me, I can share them with Betty.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just forward what I sent to Janina over to you then.
Okay.
How's that? Does that work? Because I don't have a list. I don't know. I don't have a list of all you all. I wasn't sure who was in the, who had agreed to be on the subcommittee. But I'm happy to provide it in any way that's going to make it easy for you all.
And you have a hand raised.
Okay, yes, go ahead. Jonathan?
No, Carrie.
No, Carrie, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Carrie,
no, that's
I didn't
okay.
see.
No worries. So when you, I just wanted a clarification on when you said that the CAPE team, they did the 3-part Baker Act trainings and the statewide trainings. That's every single person on the CAPE team, police, everybody had that training?
Well, the Cape team police are not on Cape team. We have 12 members that are Cape team, and so everyone who is licensed took that training, and not all of our Cape team members are licensed. Some are mental health professionals that are not licensed. We have currently we have 4 that are licensed. So the 4 that are licensed took the Baker Act training provided by the state, the 3-part module.
Okay, and the other members that are on the CAPE team that are not licensed did not have that?
Did not, no.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have, that's like the TFCBT we just provided to licensed personnel. A lot of our school behavioral health professionals, we have about, I think we had 60-ish that took that TFCBT. We had some of our school psychologists took it, some of our core members on my admin team took that training as well. So we have many different layers of training based on their background and what they're able to do or not able to do based on their job role. So we have a variety of trainings. That's why I kind of sent you the compliance training that everyone takes, because I thought that would be a good starting point for you all, because we have layers and layers of training. And then we have training that's just offered to our school psychologists, and we have a lot of different things.
So another question then, within the trainings that you're listing, do you provide who gets that training? Like who that training is for? Is it for the teachers? Is it, what groups of people are receiving those trainings?
I did not. I just provided the links because this was kind of right now, but I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that might be helpful to know who's getting what trainings.
Exactly, I agree.
Okay. So
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, no problem. You're just going to have to give me a little bit to organize it for you, and then I'll be happy to.
That's fine. For the next meeting, it would just, we can get, you can tell us when we get this list, but if we need other lists in the future, we'll give you time to do this. I am sorry for
No worries. I know you all are brand new. I'm here to help and facilitate and answer any questions, so we're all doing it together, so it's good. Don't worry.
I do kind of wonder, every time there's going to be a Baker Act decision, there is a police officer on that team, correct?
Yes, because the police officer has to actually, according to state statute or our transportation plan in Palm Beach County, they do the transport, so they are absolutely involved.
Yet they're not getting that training. They're getting something else, and you don't have any details on what they're getting, correct?
I do not have any details on what police receive as of trainings. You'd have to go through the school police.
Carrie?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, that's why I was asking about the police departments, because they've actually come to us as an agency asking for trainings, and we've been providing that quite a bit on, specifically on individuals with autism, and that's why, I was bringing it to the forefront with this particular trainings as well, other trainings for other disabilities or whatever it might be. And that's why I had mentioned it, because I know that we've been giving it outside of the school district to the Sheriff's Office, Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, and other sheriff departments. And that's why we thought it would be so helpful to bring in, because, yes, I understand that they're getting their trainings within their own department, but what we're providing is in addition to what they're already getting. So we thought it would be helpful also to bring that into the school district also, since they're asking us to do that. So that's why I just wanted to mention that.
I think it would be very helpful. I think I have heard of the training. I know you all are providing that. It's very beneficial training, especially around persons, with disabilities, especially ASD. So I think that is very beneficial. They're offered all of our trainings. I know that they are really hard pressed for time, and that's been what I've heard, in terms of their training schedule. But I absolutely agree. And if there's a group that you have provided a list of the outside departments, the community police departments that have received it, that would be great to know as well.
Yes, no, we have within the police departments. We haven't been able to do it within the school district, I believe. But and I don't want to be just specific to just autism, but maybe individuals with disabilities, in other areas as well. That's why I thought maybe having the police involved in the trainings would be helpful, because it would give them a global perspective on all of this.
I have a question, and it's just more for clarification in my mind. When we talk about Baker Act, we're talking about Baker Act here on school premises, correct? So it doesn't follow home?
What we're talking about students, and we try and get away from the word Baker Act. What we say, students who are transported for an examination for involuntary hospitalization. So students are transported from our school campuses if they're having a mental health crisis, or they make a threat to themselves or others. So we've had some homicidal ideation as well. And they are transported by school police based on our county transportation plan, that they're the transporters. Mm-hmm. And then the actual examination occurs in the hospital. So the receiving facility, and a psychiatrist does an examination to see whether the child needs to be hospitalized or not.
Okay, and then my second question is, and again, it's just I fully understand. Last night they voted for half a dozen Palm Beach County sheriffs to be added, which are now not police, school district police. So is that training going to cross? Because Carrie is apparently, that's a good training they're getting. That's the sheriff's department, right, Carrie? That's getting the training. So I'm thinking there's probably two different sets of training here from school district and sheriff. So how is that going to correlate when they're probably on different platforms?
And I think that and Carrie, it's your training, but I believe it is for police officers, correct? So they have a better understanding of children that may be on the spectrum, and how to interact and de-escalate, and some of their unique challenges, and how they have difficulty processing information and following the commands when upset, and all of that stuff. So the police are not aware of that. Our school staff, especially those who are working with children with disabilities, have extensive background in education. I mean, they've gotten master's degrees and doctorates in this area, so they wouldn't necessarily, need that particular training. The training is for the public or the police officers that interact with students with disabilities, particularly ASD, who may not be aware of what they may or may not do in terms of when you're interacting with a person with a disability, and some of the things to watch out for. So does that sound about right, Carrie?
Yes, it is specific to autism, obviously, because that's our agency. Yes, and we do work mostly with police officers within the county, Palm Beach County, Port St. Lucie, the areas that we cover, obviously. We haven't been involved with the school district police at all, the school police. And not to say that, we're not happy to go in, but I'm just saying whatever trainings that whether we provide or other agencies or with whatever trainings are being provided to other CAPE team members or whoever it might be, people on, the transport committees or whatever, or involved in transportation of students. I think they should be involved in these trainings as well, because I think it adds a different element. And I know I'm being autism specific, but I think we should be global in looking at all, multiple disabilities, multiple cultural, differences and things like that. There's a lot of, that's why I say I think the trainings would be helpful to them as well.
Carrie, you bring up a good point, and I just want everyone to know that we do have it's part of our policy, on the CAPE team, we have members who have an expertise in disabilities. So we have school psychologists. They are involved with any child with a disability or suspected disability, as well as the school staff. So there's school psychologists on schools, there's the ESE coordinators, so there are staff with an expertise in disabilities that interact with these children. So I don't want it to be thought that, we have just the clinicians who don't have a background in, exceptional student education or doesn't understand our children with disabilities. We specifically require our CAPE teams to have experts with a background in disabilities. So we want to make sure that we are covered that way and they understand the unique difficulties that some of our students face.
Is that for every team?
Every team, yes.
Everyone that goes out. Okay.
We have
Yes.
They're either consulted with, because we're a big, large area, so
Right.
it's hard to get. But they're on the consulting team, or they're physically there, or if they're not there, there's a school psychologist. There's the ESE coordinator at every school. So there are experts with background in disabilities and special education that are involved in all of these cases.
Okay, good.
Yes, and I remember you mentioning that, and I do appreciate that. We were just adding in the special education teacher just as just another element if possible. But no, thank you for that clarification.
Go ahead. I was just going to add as a piggyback on what Carrie said, that a lot of the skills that are used in de-escalating students with autism, as you know, as a mental health expert, also work with students who might have ADHD or another condition, or maybe not identified with anything, but those say it's kind of universal design, where something that would work for one population will work for many others.
Exactly. It is exactly universal design. I haven't heard that in a bit, so good for you. Yes, it is. So if we can reach those children, those de-escalation strategies will work for all.
Emmy, you wanted to say something?
I have a few questions. So first of all, I want to say that I think, based on our questions, it seems like our priority is school police, mental health, suicide prevention. So I would like to see the list, but I feel like those are kind of our top priorities. My question is, so these PBSO officers that are coming on board as school police, you're saying that they would receive training through the sheriff's office for what that looks like. I would assume that there's training specifically for school police, like what it's like to be a police officer on a school campus.
I can't speak for the school police training, but I will tell you that they're required by statute, all police officers, to take a number of different trainings on a regular basis. So they have to make sure that they accommodate and they have received all the statutory requirements. And I know I have heard that it is a very long list of requirements of training for all police officers. So I imagine that school police also has additional training. This is new. It was just voted on last night. So I would inquire as to how they're going to they're going to meld together.
I think this is a repeat of what happened when the initial Marjorie Stoneham Douglas laws passed, and the school districts around the state didn't have enough police officers that were already school police that were trained, and so they brought in, if I recall, there were times when the local police departments would send in a group of officers off the street for a week, then they'd be switched with somebody else, and so the ability to train and get them used to everything was very challenging. Hopefully this time we're putting in a group of people that stay with it for as long as they're needed so that they can learn and it's not a brand new set of people who don't know anything yet. May I ask what the channels are for me to reach out to the police? I know there are certain ways I'm not supposed to communicate, so does anyone know who?
I recommend you speak to Mr. Oswald about it, and then he can help facilitate that.
Thank you. Thank you. We are going to discuss the priorities for the trainings that we want to review, and then we will be sent links to the trainings, and we will discuss them at the next meeting. I didn't start out with just the first training we were sent because I wanted to talk to the whole group and kind of make a plan of action. And I guess we will let the records reflect that Ms. Postal is here. Okay.
Oh, good morning, and be respectful of those that's online. Good morning, everyone. Again, I'm just popping in. This is all your baby. This is the subcommittee. I anticipate a report, although I'm here and I'll hear some of the things, of course. We do anticipate a report at the actual DDEC meeting that starts at 10 a.m. this morning. So sounds good, and there's a lot of information. I'm just a spectator and letting you do your thing.
Okay.
Am I sending this list to the subcommittee?
Yes, please. Based on what we have already discussed, we can't plan to review any police training until we go through the channels to find out what those are. Is there any preference for which of the ones we know about to start with for next time, and then we'll get the list in a few moments, or do we want to wait till we get the list online?
I'll be happy to reread it if you haven't received it yet. If you wanna, however you want to do it.
Let me see.
Did we make a decision of how many we're going to tackle? For 3, 4, 5? What's the number?
I think over time we will. The first one that was sent to me was a 2-hour one, and then we would be coming here to discuss it. So we have to kind of figure out what is logistically possible, and I know everybody here is representing different groups, and I don't know how many other responsibilities each of the members have. So as a group, we can decide what are we able to tackle that we can review at home, take notes, and then come back and discuss within an hour. And we can also request to meet more frequently if people wanted to, so that we have 2 items that we have reviewed that we can share with the larger group. It depends on people's availability and how much they're able to take on right now.
Well, I have a question. So I guess I'm approaching this as like somebody who was a teacher in the district and just received absolutely no training. I was an artist in residence, so this would be the same level as a substitute teacher or something like that. But just as somebody who got absolutely no training about what to do in a mental health crisis situation, all I knew was that we were mandated reporters for instances of abuse, and if a child came to me and said that they wanted to harm themselves, I would just take them to the guidance department, which I had to do. And so I guess I'm coming at it from like that level of like, what training do teachers receive in mental health and suicide prevention? And I think that based on our questions, again, that's where our priority is. That's absolutely where my priority is, because we're in a mental health crisis right now. It's getting worse. And of course, I represent the LGBTQ community, and we are expecting the numbers that are already so bad to skyrocket. So I absolutely want to see what kind of what is being covered in suicide prevention trainings, specifically about LGBTQ students, even more specifically about transgender students. So I don't know how to go about that, but that's what my priority is.
And that's helpful because we have so much, and that was part of the direction that there's so much training out there. We do have 2 mandatory trainings for teachers around mental health. Okay, this is the one I sent, which is the suicidal mental health issues surrounding suicidal ideation, Module 2 from the Jason Foundation. Is mandatory that they take this year. It's mandatory. The other is the Youth Mental Health First Aid training. That is the 6.5-hour training that has been offered in the district for, it's been at least 5 years. And we have hundreds of trainings we offer every year. We pivoted to online training last year and this year. We've done kind of both online and in person now. But that is a 6.5-hour training, and it's about, signs and symptoms and how to provide resources and what to look for and how to be kind of that warm handoff and get children resources. So that is required of our teachers. There's a limited number of spots, so it's always, those trainings are ongoing. We have several thousand teachers that have been trained in that, and we keep adding to the list every year. And we also have a shorter module. It's a recertification. After they've taken the training, they can get a, like a reminder of, a recertification. It's a shorter training for those who have already gone through the 6.5-hour training. So we're happy to provide those slides to you as well.
Yeah, I think we should start there. I think teacher level training, teacher level mandatory training. Okay. That's what I think we should start with.
Has anyone here gone through that? Because it was offered to some community members, and I took it a few years ago through Safe Schools. Yeah, with the slides, there's a lot of interactivity with that training, but if we have the slides, we don't have to take the time that you would take to role model things and stuff. So that may be a good starting point.
Absolutely. So the community training, because that's available out there for community members, is the mental health training. And it's instead of youth mental health first aid, it's mental health first aid. So we offer the youth mental health first aid, and there's just it's very similar. It's just some slight differences, but we be happy to offer you. I think that's okay. I want to double check. It is a grant that we receive. I just want to make sure that we're okay sharing their national materials. I'm sure it's fine, but let me just make sure that we're not violating any copyright, because we do pay for those seats. We have to pay for those people to go through it. So I just want to make sure I don't give away materials that we hadn't paid for. So that's my only thing. I don't want to mess up that way.
That's fine. You also sent out something else. So
that's the link, the compliance link, the suicidal ideation, the Jason Foundation is free. You just go on a website and register. You get a login, they'll prompt you, and you can go. It's under trainings.
We could start with that this month if everyone's okay with that, because we have access to it immediately. I'm not able to send it out, but it will be sent out to everybody, and we can discuss it next time. And if we find out that we can get access to the slides, those can be sent out to us too, because I think, well, do we want to do one per session, or do we want to attempt to do 2? Or do we want to have access to 2 and see how it goes the next meeting if we have time to cover them both? What does the subcommittee want to do? Thank you.
You guys can decide.
Could we, about how many trainings, I know there's a lot, but about how many trainings are we talking? Because that might speak to more how many we might want to do. I'm thinking 2, but...
Well, there's those 2 that will, the youth mental health first aid is 6.5 hours, so it's it's an extensive slide deck. The suicidal or suicide awareness and prevention is 2 hours, and then it's about 4 to 6 hours. The conference that was offered to all the teachers. That was voluntary, but that's on the list as well. I'm not, it's up to you all what you want to review. And then we have several other, the skills for psychological recovery is at least 3 hours. And that TFCBT, I don't think, you can see information about it, but you have to pay for seats to actually see the training. But that's extensive. That's a long training. But that's just the beginning of the trainings. There's more. I don't know if you want to get it more into the Baker Act trainings that are offered by the state. That's really for just our licensed people.
I would, because sometimes, unfortunately, and I'm the one that hears all the negative stories, it doesn't go the way you probably trained, so it would be helpful to know exactly how it was provided so we can provide feedback on.
All of those are going to be sent to you. That's in the list. So you'll have, and you all can decide how you want to tackle it.
Okay.
Does the list give time frames like an hour, 3 hours, 2 hours? Because I think that's important for us to know if we can do 1 or 2. Once we establish the priority, then we can establish time frames. If we can do 2 a month, to Kimberly's point, or can we only do 1 a month because it's 3.5 hours long?
I think that will vary based on the length,
Yes.
although I'm looking for feedback from everyone.
I do too.
We can also arrange to meet, I think, more frequently. How long of notice do we need before a meeting? 2 weeks? In order to call a meeting, how far in advance must we do it to provide enough notice to the public?
So this subcommittee is an advisory subcommittee, and I think I was just having that conversation with Ms. Janina. It's the same concept, so we would still have to do that 10 days before the meeting posting. We also have the agenda posted prior to, as well as the minutes. So as far as at least 10 days to post it on, but we have to, Susan, how far in advance do you post the notices for the meetings? I know it's 10 days.
I think I have 10 days and then a week of 4 days.
Okay, so it is that 10 days.
Yeah.
I mean, if we feel it's important as a subcommittee, we could possibly get 2 meetings in a month instead of 1. That's what I was going to say, if we decide to do so. I think
it's also permitting to space and staff availability.
Of course, then.
Yeah, so
I think this coming month we will just do the 1 meeting and kind of assess how this all works, and can we discuss things as fully as we need to in the following meeting if we have many trainings to review. Okay, sorry, I didn't tell you. What time is it now? Okay. Emmy?
I think that we will have plenty of time with a once a month meeting, as long as we get those trainings far ahead of time so we can make our own personal notes. I know we'll all be kind of skimming these trainings for what we are looking for and the areas that we're concerned about. So I would say I wouldn't worry about like the number of hours that each training is. As long as we get those slides, we're not going to be going through the training. We will just be reading the slides. So I think we will have plenty of time with an hour to discuss our concerns. So if everyone comes to that meeting prepared with their points, I think we should be good.
Okay, that sounds good. And I will repeat that I received a training this time and did not realize that no one else had, but we fixed that.
Right, I've sent out all the training.
Yes, thank you.
So my suggestion with the amount of training, I'm sorry. And this is just a suggestion that you guys decide which training, because I heard Dr. Musinik say that there is a 6-hour training. So I think that in order to effectively kind of take notes, I think that you guys should decide which training you're going to tackle. I heard a lot of people talking about the training having to do with involuntary hospitalization. So maybe you might want to tackle that because that seemed like that was at the top of the priority list. So I don't think that you guys should try to tackle all the trainings. I think you should try to decide which one you're going to tackle first and then come back next month. And then you see what I'm saying? Because if everybody goes out on their own and tries to tackle everything, then you're not going to be able to come back and be focused.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so I have the list. We all have the list on our emails if we're able to access our emails. Now, the Jason Foundation one is on suicidal ideation. Then
Module 2 is the compliance training that all school staff are required to take. That's the one that I had sent originally that it sounded like Emmy was interested in what the teachers were receiving in terms of training. And that's 2 hours.
And then the Baker Act one is lower on that list. It's just a few points below.
Is there a comment thing? Oh, I'm sorry. No.
In a moment, I'm going to, right now, first let's make a decision. Do we want to do the suicidal ideation module 2 or the Baker Act one that's down below?
I say module 2 to start.
Does everyone, may we have a motion to do module 2?
I make a motion to review module 2 first.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? You can raise your hands online if you want, or just speak. Okay, anyone opposed? Then our first assignment will be to review the 2021, there's 2021 and 2022. They're both Module 2.
They're Module 2. If you go into the Jason Foundation, you have to create an account, and under trainings, you'll find the modules. So you just want to make sure you look at Module 2, because that's what we're requiring from staff. We have included the other modules because a core group of my staff received all the modules, and you had asked for the various trainings, so those were included as well. But the one that says compliance on your list is the ones that all the teachers and school staff are required to take this year.
Since there are 2 on the list that say Module 2, we're going to go with the first one that's 2021, and it's compliance. So we all will review that one. We've received it in email. Does anybody need anything to be able to get that done for the next meeting?
I'm going to try to register on here and see if I can find it between now and 10 o'clock. Let you know
That
if I have
sounds good.
questions.
In the meantime, is anyone here from the public would like to make public comment?
I'm here from the public and would like to make a public comment because I'm not a committee member.
Yes.
Am I? Oh, I'm sorry. Charmaine Postal, I should be. Charmaine Postal, Charmaine Postal, District Diversity and Equity Chair. Thank you all for being here and doing this work. You know, this is the busy work that we can't have in the DDEC. So we thank you for doing that on behalf of the DDEC. Thank you for being here, doing this work. I would like to make a recommendation or a suggestion regarding the trainings, perhaps the trainings that you cannot access or you may have to pay. I would make a recommendation that perhaps the subcommittee can work with staff in forming a survey of some sort for those teachers and surveying those staffs to see exactly how they feel about those trainings, what they thought was great, what they thought needs, that could have room for improvement, and bringing those surveys back and formulating or analyzing based on the survey. So I think that's a great that would be a great recommendation or suggestions. But that's, again, I am just observant, and I just wanted to say thank you all. But that's the recommendations for this committee or subcommittee.
Thank you very much. I think we all feel very strongly about the importance of training, and so I think I can speak on behalf of everyone in the subcommittee to say it is our pleasure to be able to do this and to provide this input. At this point, we have agreed to that particular training. Does anyone on the subcommittee need any more information or assistance to be able to complete our assignment for next time? I don't see anything. If that's the case, then we will meet again next month before the regular DDEC meeting. And if any of you have questions, we can go through staff to ask them and kind of reach out to each other. Thank you very much. And the subcommittee meeting, do I have a motion to adjourn it?
I make a motion to adjourn the subcommittee meeting.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay. The subcommittee is adjourning at 9:55 a.m. Thank you all for participating and the work you're going to be doing.